Hi everyone, today we're going to cover how to send a conversion to Facebook via their conversion API or CAPI every time a user submits a form submission. Now, why would we want to do this? Well, some browsers have started blocking cookies, and privacy restrictions have made it harder for Facebook's regular pixel to work effectively. However, it hasn't taken Facebook long to come up with a kind of roundabout sneaky way of matching your form submissions to Facebook users, even with that limited browser tracking. Basically what this involves is taking the information that we do have, like the user's email and IP address, sending it to Facebook and then matching it all up. All of this is done in a secure, hashed way behind the scenes, so no personal data is ever exposed. There is no need for any technical knowledge, trust me, although you will need to follow these instructions closely as it can get a little fiddly. My name is Colin if you're meeting me for the first time, and let's get into this. Alright, for this guide today, we're going to be using Growform as our form builder of choice. It's used by individuals and businesses all around the world, but let me be clear, the guide I'm going to show you here with Zapier and Meta/Facebook, it's going to work with any other similar platform or trigger. If you are new to Growform, it's a form builder designed with lead generation in mind and the goal of getting you higher quality leads from the same traffic. There's a 14-day free trial in the video description if you want to follow this tutorial step by step. The only thing it needs is your email address rather than any credit card details, like some other people. Okay, so whether you're in Growform or any other form builder, the first thing you want to do is enable the collection of the user's IP address and user agent. The user agent, by the way, is basically the user's browser, and the IP address, if you're new to that, is the internet equivalent of a phone number. To do that inside Growform, we're going to open up our form, go to Edit Form Settings, and then choose Capture System Details, and hit Save. Just in case there are any doubts out there, I am not a lawyer, but some jurisdictions may require you to get the user's permission before you capture their IP address, so please check this first. Once we've enabled this, what it does is, when someone fills in your form, it's going to grab their IP address and their user agent, which are really useful for Facebook in matching our data with theirs. Without this step, Facebook only has an email address to go off, which might not be enough since some people, like me for example, often use a different work address to a personal email. Alright, so let's test all of this out by running a test lead, which we can do by clicking on View Form and filling it out as a user. And as we can see when we go to View Leads, there's our form submission complete with the IP address and user agent, which will be very handy for Facebook in the next step. Said next step is to open up Zapier and create a new Zap to run whenever we get a form submission. You may already have an account set up. If you're yet to, Zapier has a free tier, so sign up to that and join in the next section. It is crucial to what we're doing here today. Welcome back. So here's where we're going to set the app to Growform or whatever platform you're using. Trigger event to new form submission. And here's where you can link your account. You may need to grab your API key at this stage. If you're yet to, Zapier can guide you through that process. Go ahead and choose the form you were just working on and hit continue. Next, hit test trigger to see the leads that we just filled in pop up on the screen. And there it is, complete with the system IP address and user agent. So far, so good. Okay, so let's add an action here. And we're going to search for Facebook conversions. 99% of the time, you're going to want to choose Facebook conversions for business admins. Now remember, we'll need to also link Facebook/Meta with Zapier, and there's two key things to note. The first is to be sure to connect the right Pixel account, and the second is to allow Zapier access to your business ad manager. Once you've done those two things, we can move on. So what action event do we want here? Well, if you're sending through anything except for a purchase or lead event, you should choose Send Other Event. Once you've chosen this, you'll be able to select from Facebook's wide array of standard events or even custom events. This will include all of the ones you're familiar with, including add to cart, complete registration, and so on. There is a link in the description to a Meta help page if you are stuck. They offer very thorough documentation, so please do go have a look at that and get your info right from Meta themselves. Next, let's configure the action source. Action source is the place our action came from, surprisingly. Facebook's documentation goes into more detail, but basically they're going to accept app, website, email. In our case, the conversion took place on the website, so that's what we'll set it to. It's worth noting that even though this technically fires from a back-end process, which you might call offline, the conversion was initiated from the website, so website is the correct parameter to put here. Under event info, we get all the usual suspects: add to cart, complete registration, start trial, purchase, and more. In this case, I'm going to fire the complete registration event because that is what the user has just done. A word of warning, do not choose purchase or lead here, as Zapier will return a very vague error that's difficult to debug. If you want to use purchase or lead, go back and choose the right action in the previous step. Next, we have event time. If you leave this blank, Zapier will just use the time that the Zap ran. Just beware that Facebook expects this to be within 5 minutes of the event, so you should only leave this blank if you're confident that that will be the case, like if you're polling for new leads every minute or two. If, however, you're polling for leads every 15 minutes, which might be the case if you're on a free or cheap Zapier plan, you should set this as the exact time the lead was received. In our case, at Growform, we can look this up from our lead, just check it's in the right time zone. In my case, I am polling every couple of minutes, so I'm happy to leave this field blank. We don't need to set an event ID. There's more info on this in that meta documentation if you're curious. Now, because we said website for the action source, Facebook does require us to provide the website that the conversion occurred on. I'm going to set mine as this is where my form is embedded. Test event code is used for testing, surprisingly, and opt-out of ads delivery optimization basically uses this data for attribution only rather than ad performance. I'm going to leave this blank, which will then default to false. Finally, if we scroll to customer information, this is where our user's information is matched to the Facebook user. Basically, Facebook has a database of everyone's name, email address, IP address, and what have you, and by sending this data over, they'll then match the Facebook user to our user. You may have read about needing to hash this data. Don't worry about that, as this Zap will do it for you. You don't need to run around working out how to encrypt things, just enter the details in plain text. I would not know where to start with that anyway. You should aim to at least provide the email address of the customer as well as much information that you have available to get a good match. Importantly, you'll see client user agent and client IP address on this list. These are some of the most useful fields in our arsenal and will let us match users with a decent degree of accuracy. Go ahead and choose the system IP field and user agent string that we captured from Growform or your form builder earlier. So to recap, we are sending over a complete registration event. It's from our website and we're going to match the customer based on their email address, IP address, and user agent. Now, you might be wondering about the click ID FBC or browser ID FBP. I will cover that later. Let's deal with the basics first. With all of that done, hit continue and then test step. Okay, as you can see, we've got a response with some debugging information there and no errors. I'm going to go ahead and publish this now, as I know it's working. Alrighty then, all that's left to do now is double check that we have received that event in Facebook. Hop over to your events manager in Facebook, which you can get to from business.facebook.com, opening all tools and then following the links to Events Manager. Make sure that you're in the right account that you linked with Zapier earlier on in this video, because trust me, this has caught me out before. Once you're in, head to Data Sources, choose your pixel, and you can see a list of events on screen. And you should see the event you just sent through. I'm kidding. That would be way too easy. Facebook has up to a 30-minute delay, so even if you have configured everything correctly, it may not show up for a bit. Once you have waited some time, you will be able to see the event that you've just sent over under Events. Finally, once you've sent a few of these through, Facebook will give you a match quality score. Again, you may need to wait some time for this data to collect. You may remember Facebook also gave us the option to send through an FBC and FBP parameter. Now these parameters are generated by the Facebook pixel itself, and it helps us to identify the user even more precisely. Growform has some code available to grab those parameters if they are set and then save them in hidden fields. I've linked to this in the video description. Once you've installed the code, you'll need to go to your form, create 2 hidden fields called FBC and FBP, and save your form. Other form providers may do something similar. Once you've done this, you can create another test lead and map the fields over in your Zap, just like we did with the other ones. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how to send conversions to Facebook via Conversion API in 2025. Well, I'm sure you'd agree this has been a blast, but sadly we are at the end of another tutorial. If you have found this useful or if you still have questions, please put them in the comments and someone from the team will get back to you. Or indeed, if you are someone who needs to be firing Facebook conversions on the regular and wants to make the most of Growform's capabilities, let me remind you of that free trial link in the video description. All it needs is your email. Alright, that is enough from me. A big storm is incoming here, so I'm going to go and make sure all the windows are shut. And I will see you once again once the power has been restored. Bye.